Hey guys, welcome back. It's a late Monday evening, actually a early Tuesday morning video. I gotta get my behind the bed soon, but I want to get this one out. Just didn't end up doing it earlier. I want to touch on something that I've kind of touched on before, and this is not necessarily a current event subject so much as it is a I told you so kind of subject. And it's also, you know, constructive game critiques. This is constructive criticism for those who like to publicly whine. And what do I mean by whine? Look, I am not of the ilk that one should simply buy product and consume product, as that meme says. Don't complain about product, just buy product. I'm not that guy, right? I'm more so of a guy that says if you don't like it, just don't buy it. Shut the fuck up about it. Like, because the worst thing you can do, I've said this before, the worst thing you could do for something you truly hate or dislike is to talk about it. Ponies don't get that when it comes to Xbox. And I hate using that term derogatorily, but it's the truth. It's like, if you hate Xbox, why the fuck are you talking about Xbox? If you hate PlayStation, why are you talking about PlayStation? If you hate Nintendo, why are you talking about Nintendo? So on and so forth. If you hate PC, why talk about PC? Talk about what you like. But on these public platforms, X, Instagram, YouTube, people can't help but to be as negative as they possibly can. Now, maybe that has something to do with the fact that, you know, keyboard warrior shit. I can say something from a safe distance, and even though you can see my face, you can't touch me. You can't do anything to me. The most you could do is use words over the internet. And even though a lot of people are afraid of that level of smoke, they can take that more than they're willing to take a ass whooping. Or, some other idiot who flies off the handle over plastic boxes. Because, there's a video that was circulating of a guy who I guess was in line for Spider-Man, and a dude in a fucking Death Stranding shirt of all games decided to tell him that Starfield was trash because I guess he had a Starfield shirt on. It was like, they're both pretty much the same divisive ass game. They're just on different platforms. One just sold way better than the other one because of the pedigree of the developer. And I'm not talking about fucking Death Stranding, right? Um, that aside, the thing I have been seeing a lot of recently, speaking of Starfield, there's a shitload, and I mean an absolute fuckload of Starfield hate videos. And it's like, it's shit like, oh, Starfield is antiquated. Starfield is a game that's made like blah, 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 and it's old, and Todd Howard's a liar, and all this other shit. First of all, this shit, I'm not defending this game. It has problems. I have said before, and I will say again, at best, it's an 8, maybe a 7.5, because it can be very slow. It is very divisive. You have to really, really like Bethesda games to get past a certain point playing it. And I wouldn't even say I really, really like Bethesda games. Like, I've literally had to step away from it because things aren't happening fast enough for me. And it's not that I think it's a bad game, but it's run in the room, shoot a bunch of enemies, read a story beat, run in the room, shoot a bunch of enemies, and that's what it is. I haven't gotten to the part, however, where I can buy a ship. I don't have enough money. I haven't gotten to the part where I can customize a ship. I certainly don't have the first powers. I'm not that far into the game. Everybody who loves the game says there's more there. I'm just having a hard time getting to it. Doesn't make it a bad game. It's just not necessarily for me. I had the same problem with Death Stranding. I have the same problem with Kojima games, period. If I see his name on something, I instantly don't want to fucking touch it because I hate the way he tells stories. I cannot fucking stand it. Don't give me an hour of gameplay and then an hour cutscene. That shit sickens me. Ran over. What the guys and gals, I'm assuming some of them were women, that are complaining about Starfield are doing is the same thing that the guys and gals who complained about Halo Infinite 2 years ago are doing, or were doing. Again, and I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I've said this before. There is no such thing as bad press. You mentioning something, you talking about something constantly, is going to make it relevant. If it's something that's pinging a subject line on YouTube, on Instagram, or X, Jesus, I'm not going to get used to calling it that, then as long as it's trending, it's going to be in people's mind share. And some of these videos got like 100K views, 70K views. Of that 100K or 70K that watching it, probably about 40% are still going to play the game to see if it's as bad as these people are saying it is. Another thing I said before. Xbox Game Pass games are going to do well despite themselves. Why? Numero uno reason is no one has to buy them. No one has to buy them. I got into, I wouldn't say necessarily a few arguments, but I had some sharp responses to my comments on social media about Halo Infinite about a year and a half ago. Said, one, you got that game for free. You didn't pay for that game. It's missing stuff, but go back and look at Fortnite. Fortnite wasn't even the kind of game it is now when it first came out. Apex Legends was missing all kinds. Apex Legends had one map and like 6 or 7 characters in one mode. Free-to-play games tend to come out very bare bones. Now, what's unfair about that, if you're a Halo fan, and this is where I understand their grievances. If you're a Halo fan, you're used to split screen play. You're used to Forge being there. Even though I think Forge only launched in Reach. I don't think it was there day one on 4. I know it wasn't there day one on 3. And I'm pretty sure it was there on Guardians. I'm not. You can correct me on that if you know better than I do. I'm pretty sure somebody does. But it's a free-to-play game. Whenever somebody says free-to-play, there's 2 things that's guaranteed. It's probably not going to have a lot of content, and what content it does have is going to be locked behind a paywall, because generally speaking, free-to-play is like the sleaziest way of gauging what the audience is willing to put up with. And a year and some change later, look at Halo Infinite. As a free game, not a game you have to pay $70 for because the campaign is the only thing you have to pay for. But as a free-to-play game, it has a ridiculous amount of features. It has more features or a better wealth, a breadth of features than something like Apex Legends. Like, the only free-to-play game that lets you do more with its content is literally Fortnite. Because Fortnite literally has an entire game engine that's used by the industry and independent developers behind it. You can go make your own maps on Fortnite, just like you can on Halo. You could program your own levels on Fortnite, just like you can in Halo. Come today, I believe it's the 17th is when the new season launches. That feature may not be in there day one, but it's coming season 5 apparently. The Forge AI stuff. I said months ago in a video, look, people are bitching about this game and they're keeping it relevant. And so long as they do that, they're going to just keep slowly but surely adding stuff to it until it's a complete game. And then the next thing you know, you'll see a ton of motherfuckers making videos talking about, oh my God, Halo Infinite's the best thing ever. Go look on YouTube, tell me I'm lying. Well, you don't have to go to YouTube, but you get my point. Look on YouTube and look up Halo Infinite. The most fucking anti-Halo Infinite cats you could find a year and a half ago loving the shit out of that game now. And for good reason. It pretty much has everything it should have, and then it has even more now. Like, it's the only thing it's still missing is like campaign DLC, which was funny enough. One of the guys who won the Halo tournament this past weekend brought up with a hot mic in front of him. I thought that was funny. But it's like, dude, free to play games, AAA gaming, unfortunately, that's what it is. And again, I made a video about this before, but there's people who are dragging fucking Baldur's Gate 3 in there. Well, that's how you make a AAA game. Well, I gotta tell you guys, you're kind of missing a very big detail about Dragons. Did I say Dragon Age 3? Baldur's Gate 3. Maybe I did say Baldur's Gate 3. The detail you're missing about that is that game was in beta for 2 years, which means that they charge people to play an incomplete game. I was one of those people because I love Divinity 2. I love Divinity 1. I played that with my friends. We didn't beat it, but we had fun, playing this hybrid style D&D game. That's, to me, when they said they were actually getting D&D, I was like, okay, cool, I'm down. So I bought into the beta on Stadia. Go ahead and get that laugh out. And once Stadia gave me my fucking money back because Google's a bunch of quitters, I went ahead and got that beta again on PC. What you guys have to understand is Larian kind of has the tech figured out when it comes to AAA development. Or in the case of Divinity, I guess you would consider it a AA game. But they literally put that game out 2 years earlier than it was. Then it was meant to drop, and developed it with their fan base. Over the course of 2 years, they took down, what do people like? What do people not like? What should be in the game? What shouldn't be in the game? What aspects of Dungeons and Dragons are we not getting right? How can we fix that? They did all of that, and they put out a near perfect Dungeons and Dragons RPG that people who play it, they love it. Starfield didn't do that. Starfield just came out because Bethesda entire Howard's way is put the shit out, people will buy it, we'll gather all their complaints, we'll maybe fix it in DLC, and then we'll let modders do the rest of the work. That is how they've always done things. I don't know why in the world people are so surprised that's how they do things. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying that's how they do things. You got people that, why don't they change the engine? Because they have a fucking community of modders who know how to mod that engine. Why would they alienate them by switching to Unreal? Why would they alienate them by switching to some other engine that they probably won't be able to put out mod tools for? They can put out mod tools for Unreal, right? That's easy enough, but working in Unreal ain't as easy as you think it is. There's a person who literally had to bust his ass using Unreal Engine 4 when it came out to get his degree. That shit's not easy. So, and especially when it's new and they're updating versions, they put a version out that'll break all your work. Had it happen to me several times. Fucking nightmare, right? Great engine. You know what I'm saying? Between, raw coding and blueprints, it's a great engine. You could do a lot of cool shit with it, but their updates break your bills. And sometimes you have to start all over unless you're very fucking clever and you know what you're doing. Luckily I had a team because I'd probably still be in college now if I didn't. At any rate, all of this shit that you see people complain about, well, Bethesda needs to change the engine. The engine's adequate. They're not changing their fucking engine. They get their new developers from the modding community who works on that engine. That's what works for them. You guys are getting a lot of people who are complaining about what was always going to be true. Starfield's a little bit more polished than your average Bethesda game comes out. It's still broken. The gameplay is weird. It can be a little boring and derivative sometimes, and not even a little. But somebody's going to turn that game into something really different. I don't know if it's going to be a good different or a bad different. Somebody's going to turn it into something really different once the mod tools hit the internet. And I'll say this. Look, if you really don't trust what you're seeing, wait and see. Wait and see what happens with it. Because people are already modding it now. They're already doing QOL stuff now, quality of life stuff. Adding maps for this, doing menu stuff for that. I think a buddy of mine was pissed because he couldn't invert his x-axis, which, I mean, I play inverted Y. That shit is just weird to me, but whatever. Like, who wants to press left to go right? I don't get that. But I press up to go down, or to look down. Look, man, it's and then don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with the people complaining, because generally speaking, a lot of the people who bring up grievances, they call these companies out, they get them to course correct stuff. I love the fact that people complained about Microsoft trying to raise the price of Xbox Live Gold when it still existed, because the very next day they about faced on that shit. Not enough people complained about PlayStation and their bullshit, but that community was fine with them charging $70 for games. And apparently they're fine with the digital version. If a person starts with the digital version of the new PS5, they're going to end up paying way more than a person who just buys the physical edition. Like, I think $80 more, which after taxes on $500 plus the 80 is probably about $610, $620 almost. For a PS5, let that sink in. Damn thing costs more than a VR headset. But if more people, I'm talking about them, complained about stuff, a lot of this nonsense wouldn't happen. You wouldn't get charged $30 for a fucking kickstand. So don't get me wrong, I'm not beating up on the complainers, but the complainers need to also understand that you are being used. You're all being manipulated. I've told you guys a million times. Microsoft, PlayStation even, Nintendo, they all play 4D chess. PlayStation keeps throwing fillers out there, and motherfuckers still aren't responding as they should to it. Now, to be fair, they're probably spending more time complaining about how Xbox is going to fail, despite the fact that they just bought Activision Blizzard. But they really should be focusing on the fact that these motherfuckers are charging you $30 for a kickstand, bro. Like, that shit's stupid. Right? They're charging you $30 so you can stand your fucking PlayStation up. Fucking cares about, like, dude, come on. It's goofy at this point, but let them do as they will. Again, if you're gonna just talk about Xbox, you give Microsoft free advertising. You're making that shit a part of, you're helping their mind share. You know, a lot of people just don't understand it. If you don't like something, the best thing you can do to hurt the corporation that's doing it is not talk about it. But if you're going to keep talking about it, if you're going to keep it in the public mind share, guess what? You're just helping it. The best thing you're going to do is ignore something. Now, if it's an injustice to consumers, like raising the prices on Xbox Live Gold, raising the prices on video games in general, cutting off a service that shouldn't be cut off because people have invested hundreds, if not millions of dollars into it. That stuff is fine, but like, man, talking about these fucking games and this shit, like, man, let that shit, if that shit sucks, let it die. Let it die. You know what I'm saying? Unless you just really care for it so much, then okay, fine, complain about it because you want to be better. But making hate videos doesn't do shit. Making hate videos does not do shit. It doesn't. All you're doing is telling these guys what they need to fix, and you're doing it for free. On top of the fact that you probably bought the game in order to bitch about it, be able to bitch about it on a substantial level anyway. So you're doing it for free. You're being used. A lot of this shit will stop when we stop being locked into the matrix. Like, if you, like, the best thing people could do if they really wanted Todd Howard and his company to stop making games the way they make them, just don't make a bunch of fucking videos talking about how Starfield sucks. Because again, you might have 100,000 views, 50,000 of those people gonna play the fucking game just because you said something. They are about 35 to 50% of the people who watch your videos are still gonna play the fucking game, just to see if it's a train wreck you say it is. And then a certain percentage of those people are going to like it and disagree with you, and that's where you get your little angry comments and shit from. If they haven't already played it and they hate watching your video, they're going to play it, like it, and then hate watch your video and then leave a nasty comment on it. Like, you guys think you know how to beat these companies. You don't. You can't beat them that way. Especially the Game Pass shit, right? Their Redfall game, the numbers aren't going up on it. I was wrong about that part. However, I think it's one more update and the right Twitch streamer, I don't know who that is, playing it for a substantial amount of time from being in recovery mode. By the way, another game that came out is an absolute piece of dog shit, and it hurt me because it's one of my favorite franchises, Battlefield. Just beat its record for concurrent players at one time on Steam. Because in a season where they dropped, in my opinion, the worst map for that game. I hate meat grinder maps. I cannot stand that shit in Battlefield. I don't play Battlefield to play meat grinder maps. Another video, another rant. But for whatever reason, people are loving that shit. So all of those hate videos you put out about EA and their dog shit game development, AAA game development, how's that going? Do you see my point? That's Halo Infinite. That's Battlefield 2042. In about a year, it'll probably be Starfield. Whatever else. There's a way to stop this kind of stuff from happening. And then there's a way to only feed the beast. And a lot of you guys just don't get it. You don't. Like, if there's 2 or 3 Starfield is ass videos, that doesn't need to be 10 or 20. Because at that point, the 2 or 3 are helping, but at 10 and 20, what the fuck are we doing? You don't need Asmongold and 20 other motherfuckers reacting to it and laughing at it. It's like, you guys aren't hurting it. You're only helping it. So that's all I'm saying. And it's like no shade to any of the people. You know, I'm fans of your work. You know, I'm all for free speech and stuff, but I want you to understand that whatever you think you're doing, you're not doing it. Like, they're just gonna fix the game and make it better and sell it to more people. That's how this shit works. That is game development. And there's a person who comes from an era where whatever game you got, that's what you had. I mean, there were games on the Nintendo and Sega Genesis That ship broken, and there was no updating it to fix it. It was just broken. I'm talking about games where you couldn't finish them. Like you get to a certain level, the game just stops, it breaks. I remember that. So for me, as an old fogey, updates and fucking games having all of these, having the ability to be transformed into totally different experiences via the internet is fucking beautiful magic to me. But I also understand that, yeah, a lot of people are beta testing a lot of this stuff. It is what it is, man. Like, you're either going to take a high risk and take so many years to put a game out, and in the meantime, you're spending millions of dollars paying people to work on it, only to hope that you recoup the money that you've invested into that project, which is, again, something Sean Layton talked about. Games cost too much, take too long to develop for the money that we're getting back not to be substantial enough, not to, justify that time spent, that development spent. That's a problem Sony has. It's not a problem Xbox has, because again, they got Game Pass. They can put a half-baked game on a fucking service, and enough people will try it. In the case of something like Starfield, enough people will try it and bitch about it for them to know what they need to fix. And in 6 to 7 months, it's not gonna not be a boring game 50% of the time like it kind of is right now, at least for me. But it'll probably be a better playing game. It'll probably have elements in it that it didn't have before. Cyberpunk, you guys hated it. A lot of you guys fucking hated that game, and justifiably so. It launched terrible. It was a technical mess. But what did it take for you guys to fuck? A lot of you motherfuckers, oh man, they brought out an anime and there's Cyberpunk 2.0 and Idris Elba's in it. Now it's a fucking 9 out of 10 game, right? Now everybody fucking loves it. This is AAA development now. And you guys want to stop that machine, the best thing you could do is stop talking about these games. But if you're going to make fucking 1,000,001 videos bitching about how terrible it is, you're just helping these motherfuckers do what they're doing. You're not hurting them. You can't hurt them. Not with that shit. Anyway, I'm off my soapbox. Again, I'm all for freedom of speech. If you feel you must complain and you must make hit videos for these billion-dollar corporations, be my guest. But your way ain't working, because they're going to win anyway. If you really want something to fail, stop fucking talking about it. Unless your money depends on it, of course. Then maybe you're a fucking grifter. That's a whole nother subject. At any rate, I'm going to sign off. I got to get my ass to bed. You guys have a good one, and I'll catch you in the next video.